Welcome to the BMI podcast. Today I sat down and talked with Aaron. We got into who Aaron is, what motivates him, and where he's come from. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. We hope you enjoy.
Step on the wrist because they know what they can and can't get
What
away with.
boundaries to push and which ones not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Having the right connections.
100%.
Yeah.
Being in the know.
Yep.
Which is a good little introduction to this episode of the BMI podcast. I guess today I thought it would be good to go through a bit of an introduction in terms of what got us here, why we're doing this in the first place, to introduce us to all of you out there. I guess give a bit of a background as to why we're actually here speaking into a microphone in this confined space.
Yeah.
And I think to start with, which we can get into the podcast itself, but for me, I was kind of interested in what actually got you interested in podcasting. Like, why the microphone?
Why did I pick up the microphone? Or
Yeah. Like, why podcasting in general?
So
instead of any other, like Instagram or
YouTube
Facebook
videos
or YouTube. Yeah.
Podcasting for me, I picked up podcasting myself personally, listening to podcasts probably for the last 4 or 5 years, maybe. Yeah, 4 or 5 years, but definitely really hard out the last 3 years.
Yep.
And I just find it an easier way to digest information for me personally, because I'm always doing stuff. So sometimes I don't have time to sit and watch a video, even though I do like video content. I actually really like video podcasts.
Yep.
Got one loaded up right here on my screen. If I've got time, I like to get those in. I just picking up on body language and stuff like that. That's just another sort of aspect of things that I'm trying to learn and pick up in as, a forever salesman. That's what I like to get from the video side of content. So we will be doing that eventually.
Yeah.
But I definitely digest 90% of my podcasts through audio mainly, and I listen to that on the go at the gym. So I find it an easier way to digest information and just sort of and I think for me, why I want to pick up the mic as well was just I've always thought to myself, who the hell am I? I don't who the hell wants to listen to what I have to say? But then I have to sort of, I guess, convince myself and tell myself well, hey, how many times have you sat there and said, God, I wish someone would tell me X, Y, Z. God, I wish someone had told me this about this. We were just talking about things that people don't know in development previously. And that's literally some of the things. Maybe I'll have a few golden nuggets for people that were in the exact same position as me, and it's some information that can help them. I kept telling myself no one wants to fucking listen to me. I don't want to listen to me. Who the hell am I? What? And in my head, I think, what have I done to warrant people sitting down and listening to me tell them, go do this, go do that? Because I always kept, sort of discounting myself and going, oh, yeah, what have I done that justifies being able to tell someone things? So I needed to change my sort of perspective on that and go, hey, well, can it hurt? Will it hurt them giving people what you think is advice? And we might be wrong in some things. We might have different takes to others, but it's sort of you can take what you will from these podcasts from us. You don't have to take everything as gospel. It's there's a few things that I definitely, if you're in the same position or in the same path that I did, and I had traveled, I would 100% be able to help you run a successful development, gain confidence, build a better health lifestyle. I've made mistakes, so I'm just trying to pass on the knowledge to others that, so they don't make the same mistakes.
Yeah, I think that's what's positive about podcasting in general, and probably why there's been a big shift to it recently is almost like you said to begin with, is that it's that new way of learning.
Hmm.
It's actually going back to the original way where it's more long form. You're actually kind of understanding the person in front of you. You're not just getting their Twitter or their TikTok 15-second reel of what their little takeaway message was that really provides absolutely no context.
Yeah, it's more of a deep dive.
It's a deep dive, and you actually get to understand the person. And like you said, especially in a video form, you kind of get to interpret that through body language as well. And at the same time, like hopefully it's providing the nuggets that people want and or even don't necessarily want to be hearing. And so if they want to do something with it, like it's one of those, you can't pass or fail a podcast course. You're not going into a university, you have to rope learn everything that we say, you're going to get tested on it at the end. You can pretty much pick and choose all the shit that you want and all the shit that you don't want to actually listen to, and you can take that as what it is. If you find it interesting, you can include it, you can incorporate that into your own life. If not, you can move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's become that new way where at least it's giving people the opportunity to slow down. It allows you to go and do something else while still learning. And so, before, and I still think there's huge place and time to do this, but before you'd have to learn something by going into your own little cave.
Yeah.
You have to sit down, you have to read the book, you then have to repeat that through written questions or whatever you come up with. And that was the process of learning. Now you can, like you said, you can be traveling to work, sitting in traffic, listening to a podcast, and still be learning something where otherwise you might have just been blasting music in the background. And so
also, I think it could be a sort of another way to untrain ourselves upon the 7-second life, like
100%.
That's kind of what when I sort of leaned into it, I was like, I found myself caught in the scroll, like this. When I deleted my TikTok 3 or 4 years ago. We're probably going to have to get on TikTok, but like,
fuck TikTok.
No, we're going to have to, but like, we'll just have it for the BMI podcast, and then we sitting off the home screen.
Do not look at.
Yeah,
it's one of those ones where I don't know if it's like the benefit, and then coming back to values, like we were talking about beforehand. If we can align the value, and it's like not necessarily playing the game to play a win.
Yeah.
Playing the game to win yourself in terms of, okay, well, what is the best way to discourse or push this information to people? And the snap bites, they go like wildfire.
Yeah. I'm not really too, like, we got to do what we got to do to grow the podcast, but we're only going to get better. And I don't know, like, this sort of, it's been my way I've attacked life my whole life. Is like, I just strongly believe in myself enough and then I just think that if our word is worth it and good enough, it will get out there. Yes, you still have to do the bare minimums, like little clips and stuff like that to get out to the right sort of people. But I'd rather gather a bunch of good cunts that will literally listen to us and like listen to the whole thing every time, just to listen to our takes, comment, have a few things, and like give us their perspectives and stuff like that. I'd rather that than just go viral and have a whole bunch of just silent, watches from the background. Just sitting there, just haters even as well. Like, because there's a lot of those people that blow up. A lot of them are just there to watch people fall. Like, I'm sort of treating this like something I would be happy to look back on and sort of see the growth that we've gone through as well, because that's the thing with us right now, is we're in the growing phase, and it's gonna be awesome to look back and sort of and listen to our little bits and our takes that we used to have, and like we're growing, so like things will change, and it'll be awesome to look back on and just sort of compare and think, oh man, I thought I was hot shit here. I wasn't even near what I am now. Like, sort of have like to think that like that's what I thought like when I was younger. I was like, oh yeah, hot shit there, and then the levels that I was at there was just nowhere near good enough, that sort of thing.
It's probably a good segue actually into why BMI? Why body mind integrity?
Well, personally, like we've known each other a long time and stuff like that. I thought it's a good little gel of what me and you sort of have similar sort of how would you say, like interests, or like things that we've taken notice of, or like we pay attention to our whole life, like sort of the morals and stuff like that we've operated on. We've both watched each other grow up pretty much. We've known each other since 13.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like, which is pretty crazy. I was thinking about that before we were doing this podcast, because I know we're talking about this. I was just like, shit, really, you've seen me, like that was mainly all my growing phase there. Like you've seen what I used to be like, what I turned into, what the pivots and everything, like, and yeah, like for the well, one, it's a cheeky play on BMI, body mass index, like it's nice, but it's also like for me, like it's like it's became more apparent to me the last 3 years, like how important like looking after your body is, and like, and your mind as well. Like it's, I feel like to be successful in business, even though I did all right, and when I put on heaps of weight, like it's still like I wasn't near the capacity that I should have been at, like when I let go of my health for that there, and then looking back on it now, like the things that I achieved, and I wasn't even focusing on growing my business. I was just focusing on getting my health in order again. Like, that I made way more gains in the business aspect without even trying to implement it towards the business aspect, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like I think they're almost they're standalones, but they're all integrated into I think what they're pillars or foundations of improvement or development in general. Like you said, the healthy body, the healthy mind, and good integrity.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think you can necessarily. I think everyone tries to separate all three, but really they're all intertwined, and a failure on one of those elements often leads to gaps in other ones.
It's almost like a house of cards.
Yeah, that's exactly
like,
it.
Like it's the foundation
That's
that you
it.
want to build upon.
Yeah, and you need a healthy body in which to have a healthy mind, but at the same time, you need the healthy mind, which will lead back to
strong integrity,
but also just having a healthy body in general.
Yep.
And then the integrity almost underlines all of that, because it's almost like the way in which you interact with the world.
Yeah.
And so if you can have that integrity and you're taking that into how you exercise, you take that into how you interact with other people, you take that into your mindset, into different things or goals that you're trying to achieve, that's where you're holding yourself to that standard. And so they're all their own individual swords that you kind of need to keep sharpening.
Yeah.
It's your
100%,
arsenal.
100%.
I mean, like, for me, it's almost that, like I said, they're the individual pillars of kind of like that self-improvement. And I've noticed it recently this year in particular with yourself. But what got you, or what influenced you the most? What got you into self-improvement?
I feel like I've always dabbled into it. Like, if you know what I mean, like I've always sort of been self-aware. Like I've always, it's blind in some areas, but self-aware in others. So like I would always go, oh, this is a weakness of mine. Maybe I'll start working on that. I didn't realize that I was doing self-improvement type things, but like a thing that's probably coming from sport.
Yeah.
Like you really learn about a lot of the areas you're weak in, and then you, like, if you want to get better, which is what I always wanted to do, is I want to get better. Like there's only one way to get better. You got to work on your weaknesses, and even like work on your strengths as well. Like double down on your strengths sometimes as well.
For sure.
Yeah, like with the self-improvement, like recently, I don't know. It's really hard to explain, like coming from an entrepreneur's like mindset. Like there's always been a yearning like for more. Like I've always, I don't know, expected more from myself, and like there was moments where I've sat idle, and then I realized like I think I was just having chats to myself and going, oh yeah, you can just sit there and live the best life right now. Like you're already living other people's dreams, and like I sort of talked my way into like accepting that and thinking like that's enough sort of thing, when realistically I don't know, like if you remember back in the days, like unjustified, but I was telling everyone like, oh no, I'm going to be a successful millionaire, like no matter what. Like yeah, it's become apparent and true now, like that's my future. But like I always was talking about like like next level shit, you know, like whereas we were talking when we were younger, like I would say, oh, no, I'm gonna have a mansion, stuff like that. And then when I started growing up and like realizing how like tough life can be and stuff like that, I was making excuses like I wanted to have a mansion. Then these guys, oh no, I don't need a mansion, like I'm gonna go down to a 4-bedroom, you know, like with two en suites, something like that. You know, that's all I need, you know, like because that's what society does to you. Like it beats you into submission and then makes you just fall in line into the mundane life that they want you to live. And by they, we talk about society, big conglomerates, health care systems, banking systems. Like they want you under the thumb. Like, and I just felt like there was always that itch. And then sort of it's come to my realization, you know, like, am I living the life that I truly wanted to live? And then if the answer was no, which it was, and then I was like, what are you going to do about it? Because realistically, with self-improvement, the only thing, like me and you, I can be in your ear the whole time, and like I feel like I do a good enough job trying to persuade or show you what needs to be done, but the only thing that happens is you have to still do the work. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Like we talked before, I was like, you know, like it's just, you have to self-improve. Like it's up to you, and like you can go, I want to develop this and do that, but like no one else is gonna do the work for you. Like you can have support from others, but realistically it's just down to you. And like I always had that itch, you know. And
well, I think, and you mentioned it earlier, but sport, that's why I think sport is so crucial for development. And by sounds of it, it was obviously a big part of your growing up. Like,
yeah.
what was your sporting, what did sport look like for you as when you were younger? Like, I obviously know it, but
Yeah.
for everyone listening, what did sport look like when you were younger, and how did you, or what were the lessons that I guess you took from that kind of personal development in sport that you've now applied later in life?
Oh, pretty terrible actually. Like, because if I'll be completely honest, like I don't know, like I always was relatively good at sport, and I was always one of the best people on the team. Like, I'm not trying to like,
You played football, right?
Yeah, played football. So I think I started football since 5. Was always me and one other guy top, always like between me and him. Like we talked about it last week about, you know, player of the days is like it was only either me or him winning, because we'd be scoring goals and stuff like that. And but like it's I think whether it's coaching or like my mentality or anything like that, I picked up bad habits from that. Like because I was good, I didn't try. Like, so like there were moments where I thought I didn't need to train. Like it sort of was also almost counterproductive for me. Like it wasn't very like good that I'd sort of thought more of myself. I was like, oh fuck man, I'm the only one out here scoring. I'm the only one, like, and I don't even need to train. And I didn't train sometimes, like, and that followed through to like high school, and like when we were playing football as well, like the coach like would always bench me, like because I wasn't turning up to training and stuff like that. And then like it's like, Aaron, come on, you've got to turn up to training. I was like, well, can't be bothered. Like I had like a bit of a, you know, like poor attitude.
Yeah,
bro.
I'm
like,
already better than these.
Yeah, well, no. And then what would happen? And like I'd stay off. I don't start. Then I go on 15 minutes and I score 2 goals, and he subs me off, and we're up 2-0. And then I'm like, what are you subbing me off for? And he's just like, well, I can't just like have you come on, score goals, and then like he's like, you don't come to training, like it's unfair on the others and blah blah. I was just like, do you want to win? Boom, but 2-2 again, like put me back on the field, score a goal, and he pulls me off the field again. I'm like it's. I know it's bad, but I was like, maybe I should have been. He should have pushed me to go to a higher level team or something like that. You know, like I don't know, like
Was there, so actually you play table tennis as well at quite a high level. Was there
Yeah.
any difference in table tennis then in comparison to football?
Yeah, so with the table tennis, I started at 13, and that was probably in the peak of my cocky years and stuff like that. I was getting better and better at things.
Yep.
You know, naturally, teenage, you're going through
Of
puberty,
course,
growing
yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, like it was. I think I would say coaching. Coaching was a huge part of there. Like I got a mentor, like a coach that sort of saw my ability and then actually put a lot of time into me, and he would be something I would contribute a lot of my mentality to.
Table tennis.
Yeah, in the table tennis, yeah. So in the table tennis, we would I would train I'd play 6 times a week, training 3 times a week, playing actual games three times a week as well, through clubs, interclubs, and Wednesday clubs and stuff like that.
Which that's actually quite interesting. So like the role that the coach plays there, which I'm super interested in based on my job in general. But it's super interesting that you didn't, the difference probably between football coaching is that it's parents that just kind of get pulled into the position, and it's a fair play award kind of game.
Yeah. And
if you don't turn up to training, you don't play, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Whereas in table tennis, it was a little bit more of a semi-professional element where you were getting developed as a player, which inherently made you feel as though you wanted to continue to turn up.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess it was just someone seeing what I thought I've seen in myself.
Invested in you.
And invested in me. Like, and then, like, there's a lot of... what do you call it, sort of like studies and stuff like that has shown that literally it's all about someone believing in you, like when you're younger. Like there was like a study about like kids being smart and not being smart, and they just told the kid that they tested in the top 1%, and then they ended up finding out like 10 years later that they gave them the wrong results, but they ended up going through to Harvard and stuff like that. Like it was something along those lines.
Expectation effect or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It was something like, we told this kid that they were smart, so they started believing that they were smart.
Yep.
Whereas, and that's why I think there's a lot of problem in today's society is like, especially in the black community, Māori community, they get told, "Oh, you can't be successful because you are X, Y, Z." It's like, well, that's actually inherently wrong. And then when you tell them that, they're gonna believe it. So then they make that fact true to themselves. Like that's why I'll probably relate that through table tennis. Was like, I had someone go, "You're pretty decent." Like there's heaps of good things, but like just having that recognized, and then also like he put it back on me as well. It was like, you got to work for it though. Like he wasn't going to waste his time. Like I would never miss a training, and like because like I respected his time, he would come during a lunch break during his work. He worked in town, and he'd come down for an hour, train with me, and bugger off. And I had the bike there, bike back home. Still had to do paper run.
Almost like a dual investment. He invested the time into you. You invested the time back into him.
Yeah.
What was the, if you could look back on that time now, what did you? Because it would have been a hectic schedule, right? Like 3 training sessions with that, 3 game nights.
Yeah.
Like, what do you take from the journey that you went through with table tennis into applying yourself now?
I don't know. Like,
did it teach you to apply yourself in areas now?
Yeah, it taught me how to just sort of fail, because in table tennis you can't win every match. Like you will meet what we call like your bogey player. Like there'll be a guy that's nowhere near as good as you, and like everyone can beat him, but he can beat you. Like it's just how like sort of some people's styles clash and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like so you're constantly losing. Like there's pressured situations. Dealing with pressure, I would say would be the one that I would say contributes to me personally. It's an individual sport, so you learn how to rely on yourself. I think it was another one, another big point that I probably pull from that there. Going through entrepreneurship, for you guys out there that are on the path, learning how to rely on yourself is huge, because you're going to have doubters, you're going to have haters. Like there's people telling you your whole life, don't do that, go get a real job, yada yada. Like this will come from your parents, your best friend. Like it happens all the time throughout, and it's just nonstop as well. It's like, and then they're constantly looking at you to wait for their moment to go, aha, told you. Like it's horrible. Like they're like crabs in the bucket. They're constantly wanting to pull you down because they hate seeing you go so high.
Yeah.
Like they can't stand it, you know?
That probably is another. We're kind of going through your life, so it's probably a good little. There's segues into segues at the moment, but it kind of goes into. I think anyway, from my understanding of your journey, how you then got into the property market, because it was kind of, obviously sport and went through school very good with table tennis and kind of and that was heading towards the end of the schooling years, and that kind of took us to the end of school. And I remember that you always had the goal during our kind of last couple of years of school anyways to buy a house, and in particular year 13 or our seventh form was always to,
which is 17 years old, guys.
That's it. Yeah
like,
and you already had that goal, and you were kind of working towards that, even at that kind of young age. Like what made you want that?
Yeah, well, so to put a little bit of perspective there, like I've always like been into the sport, and then people go, oh, well, you played international for New Zealand. I used to travel around playing for New Zealand at a young age for open men's, started at youth and then went to open men's. And then towards the end of high school, and actually I think it was just after high school, I decided to quit table tennis. And like you sort of said, I've always, I don't know why, like it's unjustifiable confidence, we can call it that if you want, but like I said to myself, nah, I'm not playing table tennis. There's no money in it. Like I can play professional and just get by. If I moved over to Europe or something like that and played one of their minor leagues, I was never going to be best in the world. Like, like maybe, no, I started at 13. These guys started at like 4, like over in China, like the best in the world. So I just thought like I'm a realist, highly competitive. I saw when I went and played for New Zealand overseas, like I was good in New Zealand, like top in New Zealand. Go overseas, I don't even compare, and unless I had rich parents to pay for me to go and train in China, which that would be, I would say I would have done really well, and I could compete at an international level if I did that. But I couldn't do that. I didn't have rich parents. Like all the people that I was beating, by the way, that played in New Zealand, all went and traveled overseas, and they would go for 3 months of the year training, come back better, and I'd still be able to just beat them. And I'm grinding, and like, yes, I had my coach here, but it doesn't compare when you got everyone is killers over there.
It's your full-time job over there.
Yeah. So like I had unjustifiable confidence. I said, I'm going to quit. I want to go. And then I didn't have any clue what I wanted to do after high school. I just said, I want to make money. Like, do I go to uni? Like, there's a lot of things. I could have got the Sir Edmund Hillary Scholarship here in Waikato Uni because I was top in my sport, which means I could have paid for everything. It was quite a tough decision. Like, I had to be honest with myself. I said, am I going to focus on the studies? Because you have to maintain a B average.
Certain grade, yeah.
Yeah, and I already knew that, like, I would have got distracted, women, young, horny little bastard. Like, it is what it is, Like, I at least I could realize it, for myself. I remember, like, going through that decision process, and I was like, do I do this? Like, do I go in? And then the thing is, if you don't follow through on it, you get the bill sent to you. And like, so that was like, I think I would have set myself backwards. So I just said, I'm going to go to work, go work a little bit. Went into Bite Barn. I went to actually Subway, worked there. And then I actually got picked up by a manager of Bite Barn, just helping him out. Like, he called me along he said, do you want some part-time work? Because I was only doing part-time at Subway. I was like, yeah, for sure. Then he realized like what kind of worker I was, and then offered me a job, and then I ended up climbing up the ranks and being one of the managers, the 2IC there, for a few years, and and just sort of always wanted to, apply myself no matter what I was doing. I would always just give everything my all, and I think that's why I got picked up by him. He's actually the reason why I bought my first property.
Yeah, right.
So like I wanted to during high school. But then when I started with him, he was the same age as me. So he was, I think when I moved over, I was like 18, 19. And then when I saw that he already had his own house at 19, being the manager of Bite Barn, I was just like, shit,
Doors open.
well, like if he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And that's my attitude towards a lot of stuff. Like everyone's human,
Mm.
and we're all human. Like no one's better than anyone else. No one's too good for anyone else. It's what amount of effort you put into something like defines whether you will get X results. And that's what I saw. I saw this guy and I was like, I don't know whether you can put it as ego or anything as well. Like I was just like, oh fuck, he's no one. Like
There's nothing
there's
special.
nothing special. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm looking for. There's nothing special about him. Why can't I go do that? And that was at 19, and then I just knuckled down and I saw pretty much just seeing that it's possible and made it a reality for me. And then I just executed on it. So I saved for that next year, signed up for my first property at 20, took over that property at 21 when I just turned 21.
Yeah, it's super interesting because it probably maps a similar path to table tennis.
Yeah.
In a way, it was like you got the mentor in table tennis that kind of opened the door, and it was like, okay, there's the possibility, and there's the possibility that you could be better.
Yeah. And
you took that opportunity.
Yep.
And then the same opportunity arises, and it's like, oh, okay, here's this mentor-like figure in the managerial role in the property market that I can learn from. Like, he's not the guru, but he is an achievable model of what I can do.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that opportunity, take that opportunity upon myself and do the work that kind of needs to be done in order to achieve that goal. Did you see it at that point as a personal development, or was it kind of just like it was almost achieving goal, and it's only now looking back at it that there's development to be
well, like
seen?
It's probably good that you're dissecting it for me, because I've never been able to explain my drive and determination to anyone. Like I've always said to people, like even when I did my development, and we'll get to that point eventually, I've always said, like, whatever I can do, you can do as well. Like it's weird to say, and they go like, and I have people like, no, you're special and blah blah, and I'm like, and I truly believe like I'm nothing special.
Because you've seen it. You've taken the advice of normal people that have given you some advice, and so then you're doing the same thing. Well, all you did was take their advice and action it, put it in place. You saw the reward from it, and it's like, well, if I'm not special compared to other people, anyone else can take my advice, from the framework. And I think that's probably also one good thing about the podcast in general, podcasting in general, is it's a live, up to date feed of what we're learning and what's going on. It's like this is the trials and tribulations of what we're doing right now. And so because we're going through it, or we've been through it, then there is something there that you can, like I said,
I think it's huge on the mindset, right? Like, and this is sort of like as we're going through the podcast and we're discussing, I think you're picking up on the sort of, I guess you can call it ruthless like mindset that I sort of developed. Like it was only in trying to get better. Yeah, I got fat and stuff like that. So like I can't say my mindset was that ruthless, if you know what I mean. Like there was areas of weakness, but like that's life. You're going to make mistakes, and there's always things you can do better. Like my mistake, and that's what I think is one of the reasons I want to do the podcast, is to stop that guy that's almost going to become that fat bastard for the sake of thinking I'm going to be better at business, when I'm trying to be in your ear right now telling you, no, pedal back on the bloody business and go all in on that body and like on your health, and then you will actually pay dividends in the business because you have the capacity to just do more.
And I guess I'm the yin to your yang, because then I've been all in on the health front at the detriment to putting your own not personal development, but like business success to one side. And so actually diving in and having feet in the other side to counteract that. And so again, like I think it brings back to both or all three, the trifecta of body, mind, integrity. And we have a tendency to lean into one of those areas or a couple of those areas at the detriment of the other. But the development is when you can see the progress in both of those.
Yeah.
After getting into the property market, what happened from there? So then you kind of shifted from bike barn and went into real estate, was it?
Yes.
What was that shift? Was that because of your experience? I know we were talking a little bit beforehand about
Yep.
your experience buying the property. Was that the main driver of shifting from where you were at bike barn?
Yeah, so like buying is a huge part of my experience, like through buying real estate. Like it's what made me want to get into real estate. Like I got helped. Like I pay a lot to, I think her name, I think it was Susan or something like that from Harcourts. Like she was really, really good. And she gave me time. I was young. I didn't know anything about real estate. She literally helped me through it. She guided me. She showed me a few properties. And, you know, when I found one that I liked, I said, hey, I want to pay XYZ for it. And then she said, oh no, that's that's a little bit too much. She said, yeah, let's start here and just see where they're at. You know, she was giving me like proper honest advice, like, and from being a real estate agent, just knowing that she probably shouldn't have. Like, we work for the vendor is the absolute rule. And anyway, her name's not Susan. No.
That was an alias.
Yeah. So, but she really did. She gave me some proper advice, and I really appreciated that. And look at that advice. She went and helped other people's lives because it made me want to get into real estate to help people buy their first property. Yeah. That was truly like what I got into it, because I was like, holy shit, like it was scary for me. Like I had everyone telling me, you can't do it, you shouldn't do it, don't buy there. Where I bought out in Nguruohi here, and like a small, some would say hoary town, like
low socioeconomic for those not from New Zealand.
Yeah. So like it's a shitty town that like no one should buy in. The market was bad at the time. Everyone just saying, don't do it. I'm not going to move in with you, stuff like that. Like I was going to friends, family, and like she really helped me through it. And then like it was scary, but once I went through it, I realized, shit, like I can help others do this, and like I've been on all of my mates' cases, ever since I bought my house. Not even when I got into real estate, I've been telling them, get in. Like it's about time in the market, not timing the market. And that has never been more true in my opinion than now. Like it's coming up 10 years, bro. February next year.
Yeah.
10 years. So
shows how old we are.
Yeah. And I've still got that property as well. Like and that's the thing, is I have a different approach towards real estate than some people pushing. Like there's a lot of mortgage brokers and property experts that have their way to do things and stuff like that, and they're like doing flips and stuff like that. Like I have always thought, and this is probably coming from sport, just knowing like it's long term.
Yeah.
It's always long term. Like, hey, I deconstruct your style and play this way because that style won't last long term. That's like, you take 2 steps backwards and think for the long term, you'll get way better than what you would if you continue this path, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's
not necessarily having that final power shot, because if you can just get the power shot back and just get the return, stay in the market, just stay there, then you'll win in the long run. Because that person firing power shots is going to tire out eventually.
Yeah. So, and then I got into, it made me fall in love with real estate because when I had my own house, had an appreciation for property. I've always actually, growing up, I wanted to be an architect, so I've always been interested in buildings and stuff like that. So that's what I was thinking about going and studying when I was going to go to uni.
Right.
And that's sort of one of the reasons why I didn't go to Waikato Uni. They didn't have any architecture, so I had to go to Lincoln in Christchurch or something like that.
Yep.
And then another one in Wellington. So like I was like, oh, I wanted to do that, and then I was like, oh, if I was going to, that's what I want to do. And then I was either forced to do an engineer or something like that, and I was like, not in love with that idea.
Yep.
But it sort of brings up, like when I first got into it, I was working at Bike Barn, and I actually just met the manager through talking to him, telling him about, he told me that he was in real estate. I told him that I have my house out in Nguruohi, and we got to talking. He could tell I was a natural salesman, and he said, "Oh, come and would you think about going into real estate?" And it actually, the funny thing is, like, I've already made the decision that I wanted to do real estate, but I told myself I was too young. I actually said to myself, I'll start when I'm 25. And I even told him that. He goes, "Oh, have you ever thought of getting into real estate? Because you already have your own house. You had it for the last 2 years. You know, he goes, you probably know more about real estate than our agents do. Because probably 80% of them don't own their own house. You know, they just glorified salespeople."
Yeah.
But so I said to him, well, actually, yeah, that's actually one of my goals. I said to him, by 25 is when I think I want to make the transition to real estate. So I'm a bit older, and because I had this conception in my head that no one would take me seriously being a 22-year-old real estate agent. And then he said, well, you're actually wrong. Like, it's people in real estate, it doesn't really matter. It's really like, can you do the job? Like, do you have the ability to get me the right information? Are you able to compare comps, and are you able to give me proper real estate advice? Whereas, like, because you have fiducial duties and stuff like that, so you can't, like, people think, oh, real estate agents can lie and blah blah blah. When actually they're not allowed to. And whenever you sell a property, you have to write down all the facts and everything you told the customer or your client that bought the house about. You have to write it all down, and you have to file it away, because that goes, you can get claims upon you within 7 years, for up to 7 years of
keep the record of everything.
Yeah, you got to keep the record. So, like, there are some rotten eggs, but there's rotten eggs everywhere in all industries, I think.
And I guess did that reinforce the integrity element? Like, you know, you're probably in that point, especially in a competitive sales role, I'm sure there would have been a nice little dingling of a carrot to try and do whatever is necessary in order to sell one more or to sell more. But you know, did that almost reinforce the integrity that you have, and kind of like doubling down? And I'm not going to do that
1,000%.
tactic. I'm going to stick to what I know and what I mean to be true.
Well, it was all like a part of my pitch was almost like how I wanted to start in real estate. I would tell everyone, you know, like, I wanted to. I had an amazing real estate agent that operated morally and, like, gave me proper advice. Like I almost sort of mimicked the way that she did her business, like, because I saw a lot of value in that. Hey, like, there were some people that I would not be able to gel with client wise, and you got that. You never were going to get it. Like, you got some clients that they just didn't suit you.
100%.
Like, in, like, maybe they were there for an ego boost or something like that, because they wanted to go, I can buy something for $1 million.
Yep.
You know, and they'd show me those. Even then I'd be like, well, what's your pre-approval like? And then they'll be like, oh, you know, like, it's $1 million. And then my problem is, I would say, I wouldn't recommend buying $1 million worth of property then.
Yeah.
And then they go, like, they weren't sort of used to it. And then it sort of, maybe that rubbed them off wrong, me telling them, don't be stupid, even though I'm being 100% right now, actually.
Whereas
looking back now, like,
the other salesperson in the game would have been like, yeah, do that, because
$1 million and 50. It'll take you to $1 million and 50.
Yeah,
and then
I'll
they'll
get
make
a bigger commission.
Well, they'll make you go to the bank and ask for more. Like, and it's it's that integrity thing. Like, 100%. It swings right back to that again. Like, you've known me a long time. That's how I operate. Like, I'm a straight shooter, and, like, I feel like it suits some people, it didn't suit some, and, like, that's fine. Like, I was happy for them to go, like, move on, because I didn't feel comfortable selling them property that, like, the way I treated it is I would treat your money as I would treat my own. And I'm very, like, scarce with my money. Like, I treat it dearly. I try to not make bad decisions. I try to be as smart as I can. I try to have backup plans and everything in place, you know, like, I sort of wanted to coach them into buying the right property that would suit them. I'd always say, especially if it was their first property, like, just get in, don't go to max leverage. If shit hits the fan, was always a thing that I say, if shit hits the fan, live off peanut butter and toast, mate. Don't sell. Because the thing is, people don't realize, it's like that fear mongering and stuff like that when the market crashes. They don't understand that you only lose money when you sell it for less, bro. Like,
which, if you went in, if you took the integral way and you went into it with okay, this is actually what I probably can afford, rather than shooting for the stars
Yeah.
and putting yourself in a bad financial position to be able to make those repayments. Then you can afford to kind of, when the troubling times hit, you can just sit in there. And you're like, okay, well, at the moment, yeah, it's costing me, but I'm not doing anything about it, so I'm not losing any money.
Yeah.
It will only end up being in a bad position if I, one, couldn't afford it in the first place,
Yeah.
and I bought it under almost false pretense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
then
then
I need to sell at a loss.
and they'll look at you and tell, and then they'll talk ill of you. And that's like, I always, you can say like it's operating morally and stuff like that, but realistically, I'm looking up for myself as well. Like, as I value my word and my name, my reputation, I think is like the number one most important thing to me. And like, if I like let someone down and stuff like that, like, people don't realize, like, when you're an entrepreneur, like, that shit eats at you, and you're like, and you're embarrassed, because you hold yourself to high standards, and like, and then you like, I remember like, if I've made a mistake and I'll tell them, like, man, I'm so sorry, and then they wouldn't even care. They're like, oh, it's all good. I was like, yeah, I know that you don't care, but like, it matters to me, like, and I said that it should go this way, and then you listen, and then I steered you the wrong direction. And
what is it? It's like how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah, yeah, and that's sort of what I've kind of been like coaxing to you, like, that sort of, I've leaned a lot into it recently in the last 4 or 5 years, but like, I've always been like that, and I have operated across the board is what I sort of think. Now I'm realizing like how much more important it is for every aspect, and that's what I picked up off of Andy Frisella. Like, he is like drilling that in, like, even like I said, like, that's things I still need to get better on. Like, even like he doesn't even walk past rubbish, stuff like that. So like, I maintain all of this driveway, and like, I shouldn't have to maintain any of it. Like,
it's a shared driveway for people.
Yeah. So for they're supposed to maintain whatever's out front of theirs, but because I operate at a high standard, like, I can't expect them to.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, all right, well, you want that to look good because while people are driving up to your house because you're right at the back, well, you do it yourself.
Actually, so how does that play down? Now you dived into, after real estate, into like property development. How is that integrity actually manifested itself into property development?
So you actually brought up, and like, we kept talking about something else, and I want to actually swing back to something like that. So you know how you mentioned opportunities. So you know how you pointed out the opportunity through table tennis, the sport, through the coach there, opportunity through the manager and stuff like that. And then also opportunity through the manager of Bike Barn, and then opportunity through the manager real estate. So like, this is what I want a lot of people to understand is opportunity is everywhere around you. You just have to be looking for it. And that's what I think. So
even not even looking for it, just take it.
Yeah. I honestly, no. So like, I'll tell you what my perspective is. I think you got to be looking for it, because I always think like, the property that you might be looking to rent, this is how my mind operates, Mikey. Like, everything's an opportunity. You just got to make it an opportunity. And then like, that's why I've had a lot of people my whole life tell me, oh, you're lucky you got this, and you're lucky you get coached, because that coach did that for free for me, by the way, because I had no money. My parents like were only barely like bought me shoes and just a bat. Like,
yeah.
Like, I had to fund my own rubber that I had to replace and stuff like that. But like, I will always, and this will go into my development sort of thing. Opportunity is always around us. And I've always said my whole life, I don't know if you can remember this, like even parking at the base, I always say, I'm a lucky guy. Like, oh, it says it's full down the car park. Yeah. How many times? Well, I'm a lucky guy. And I'll fucking drive down the car park and I'll get a car park every time. And I even said it to Bryce the other day at the gym as well. He goes, oh man, like, it's always, I was like, I've always got a car park. And he goes, why? Because I'm a lucky guy. Whether it's like stupidity, I don't know. Like, I'm now doing more research into vibrations and stuff like that, high frequency, manifestation. Well, like I said, like, I literally manifested being in real estate at 25. And then I got the job at 22. Like, it's weird to say, like, and I wasn't even going, I'm manifesting. It was just my dreams and my goals that I was setting for myself. I knew about goal setting, and I knew about being driven from sport and stuff like that, but didn't know that I was actually manifesting that stuff. And that's why I'm just sort of more and more become aware of these things, opportunities.
Yep.
That's when I definitely knew that I was doing things right when I met my business partner through for property development, because it's a good little story. I wasn't even in my office. I was just in the auction rooms. I was just walking out, and my business partner was just walking in. And then that what happens at lodges, like whoever's on duty, like is the agent that is supposed to deal with walk-ins for that office. And I was just in the city office. I was working out in Flagstaff. I was just in the office at the time. He went up to the reception, and then they go, "Oh, I'm looking for someone to help me buy a property." And it's an Englishman, older gentleman. And then she was like, "Oh, sorry, old person that's on duty is not in office at the moment. They're out. Can I get your details?" And then like I was just walking past, and then I just said to the reception, I was like, "Oh, do you want me to?" Just like I was literally walking out the door, could hear him. I was like, "Oh, I'd like to have a chat with someone." And like I'm new in town, like, and like I know for 100% of, not 100%, let's say 95% of other agents
Straight
would
out
go,
the door.
"Yeah." And I literally, I'm out the door, just hear that little thing, and I was just like, you know what, like, it's just the person I am. I was like, okay, I'll just steer him in the right direction. I'll like even give him the details for whoever's on duty in the city, just to give him my time. So literally, and he even brought this up after we got into the business later on. Anyway, I went back in, just said, "Hey, is there anything I can do to help you?" And then we got to talking, and then he just said, "Oh, looking to be showing around," and sort of thing, and just sat down and had a yarn with him for about 10-20 minutes, and then just gave him the time of day, and then led to the next thing. I said, "Oh yeah, what sort of properties are you after?" Showed him a few properties, told him my dreams and aspirations, and like owning property as well. And then he said, like, because I said, my dad's been in construction my whole life. I said, like, if I was these real estate investors, and like I had enough money, I'd develop myself. I'll buy something like this. And then I went and showed him a property, and he goes, "Would you do it with me?" And I was just sort of like caught off guard. And he goes, "Because I don't have enough to do it by myself, and you've got your property and you've got all the experience, and I'm not from town." And he goes, "But what you're saying to me, like, sounds like we should do it." And then I'm just sort of really like caught me off guard, and I was just like, "Oh, okay." And then just naturally we just talked about it more. And then it became more and more like real. And then we were like, "Oh shit, are we doing this?" And like we gelled well. Like he was a civil engineer. I had a lot of experience in the building industry and through real estate, and knowing what to get and where to buy. And I'm actually living in the property right now of the land we subdivided and built a new house for myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's just that opportunity is always there, and I feel like I saw a clip on it, like a reel or something like that. Like you just got to be able to see that it's there.
Yeah.
And that's why I always call myself like, like, and I just say it because now it's like unfathomable to other people. They just don't get it. Like I just say, yeah, no, I'm just lucky. Like I just brush it off because I tell them, you can do it. Like whatever I can do. Like, oh yeah, like I was even talking to Jose the other day. He goes, "Yeah, but we don't have the experience in development like you." I was like, "Yeah, but how did I get development experience?"
Yeah.
I went and bought my first house.
I did it.
I've been telling you guys ever since I was 20, and we're 30 now. Like I've been telling you guys, like you could literally be in my shoes, if not further. You might have certain attributes that would have paid off more in my shoes.
Got you further down the line.
Yeah, like you never know.
And especially, again, it's kind of like a recurring theme, which I never really picked up on until now.
Yeah.
It's that kind of, it's always been that, which actually probably ties back to your why of this podcast in particular. It was that it's that one person. It's always been that one person that's kind of like extended the arm. It's been like
lighting that spark, bro.
That's it. And then you've taken that spark, and that's what you've used that opportunity. And it was funny because it's like that didn't occur in team sport.
Yeah.
Like all the endeavors since then have been individual.
Yeah.
And so it's been like solo sport, then going in and working to buy a house, bought the house, then gone into real estate to development. And it's always been that kind of intimate one person that's kind of extended that arm and helped, and that's kind of been like, take the arm.
Yeah.
Take the arm, learn what you need to learn and apply it to your own situation so that you can grow as a person.
Yeah. I constantly tell people, like, there's no shame in taking help, by the way.
Yeah.
But there is shame in taking help and telling everyone you did it by yourself. I'm really against that. It just shows your integrity.
Yeah.
Again, like, I would always go, like, yep, self-made, did it all myself. But, like, I wouldn't say that I did everything myself. Like, yes, I made the decision to go and do these sort of things, but I had people along the way giving me a hand up the step. Like, yep, sweet. They didn't go, here's fucking 500 grand, go start doing this, go buy 5 properties with that. It's like, no, never got that, never got anything gifted to me. It's all earned.
Yeah.
But you have to develop the skill set to have the worth to earn it. Like, like, you got to be able to go and earn that stuff.
And is there anything currently that is, like, I know, and potentially that might bring back to, I guess, even the podcasting and the podcast that you listen to. And I know that we both kind of are interested at the moment in kind of Stoic philosophy. And I know you've mentioned Andy Frisella in particular on this podcast, but who at the moment is that kind of mentor, I guess, for you, and what's that kind of next journey looking like at the moment?
If I'll be completely honest, like, it would be Andy Frisella, Patrick Bet-David, probably the top 2. Brad Lee that I'm watching right now. I've only just starting to get into him. He's an old school. So they're the type of people that I admire, and, like, this might be different between me and you because I come from the ruthlessness, the wanting to be successful on, like, and in all endeavors. Like, these guys, they're hard to digest for someone. Like, I feel like you get more analytical and sort of like about, I don't know, like, I'm trying to not be emotional and, like, dive into why do I feel this way. I'm trying to go, let's get there and we'll deal with whatever comes with it as we go. Like, I think that's honestly, like,
it's true.
Yeah.
That's your personality.
Yeah. Well, that's me. That's it.
100%.
Like, and there will be a few of you out there that think like this as well. And, like, I think everything is all just white noise that is trying to slow you down most of the time. And in my opinion, I already know that I'm going to live a better life than 99% of people out there. And so I sort of look at people, and and I think this will be quite relatable for everyone. Don't take advice from anyone's life that you wouldn't want to live.
Yeah.
And I look at these guys' lives and I go, fuck yeah, I want that. They're savage, and maybe they're not everyone's favorite person, but in my opinion, like, I don't want to be everyone's favorite person, and I'm all right with that. I want to be successful. I want to help the people that I care about, and I want to make better lives for everyone that I've made promises to. Like, they don't need my promises. They don't need my help as such or anything like that. It's something I want to do for them. Like, I've said to Judith and my parents and stuff, like, I'm going to make sure that your retirement life is good, like, because they deserve it. They've worked hard. The system has fooled them. Like, this is my aspect and stuff like that. Like, they've worked hard their whole life, and what have they got to show for it? Nothing. Like, I've got all the property, and I have to set them up, and I've taken that. Yeah, maybe it's a lot to take on one's shoulders, and I'm only 30 and stuff like that, but I see them as like, who I'm going to have to look after them at one point or another. Why not start now? Because I don't want to get to, I'll be 50 and then they're retired and then I haven't got anything to show, and then I'm worried about myself. Like, I'm trying, like I said, I think of, like, the long term. I see them, they don't have a house, they've got no comfortability, they've got no retirement savings. Who's going to have to look after them? Me or Mark?
Yeah.
And is Mark going to? No.
Yeah.
I'm going to own the house. Mark's going to live in there and look after them.
Yeah.
Well, like, I want to have a life of abundance, so I don't have stresses or worries for my loved ones.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's especially with that kind of being a driving factor. Like, what is there? Is there a development in process now? What are you currently working on now?
Yep. So I bought another property. So we missed out. Like I said, done my development. I did that. We built a few properties, and then we done one big development, seven lots. And I sold. Me and my business partner sold them off, and I ended up buying one of them out of the business for myself, for privately owned. So I bought that. So it was the standalone house, and then we built three duplexes as well. One 2-story duplex and two single-story duplexes, and we sold all of those. And I bought those other one out for myself. That was basically, I got the house, and I got quite a bit of money out of the back of that, and then it sort of put me in cruise mode, which is, this is another reason why I think I'm putting this podcast out there, is for those people that are going through that got a little bit of success, and it's given you that little bit of comfortability that you feel like you've done enough, and like you're fooling yourself. And like, I just want to sort of be in your ear and like not say, like, get after it as ruthless as you were, because it took a lot to get here. And now, like, it's going to fast track the rest of my life. Like I've said, like, that's the thing, is in those grinding years, those building those foundations, like, let's be honest, Mikey, like, how much harder is it for you now?
Oh, yeah, no, 100%. Yeah.
Like you sort of like see Dickie and Aaron back in the days nagging everyone's ear, going, come on guys, get into it. Like, like, and then everyone that has listened earlier, we look at them now and they're in better situations, because once they've gotten in, it's made the next one easier. Like, like say Nemo, Aaron and stuff, like Evan, like Evan's got his second property now, like they bought that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I sold that house for them, so like that's the thing, is it's fast tracks things. Working hard young, when you've got not many commitments, you're able to be a little bit selfish, and then you're not setting yourself up for life, but you're at least putting a solid foundation on it. Job's not done yet. So I brought that property out of there. I always wanted to go back to development, but I didn't. So I learned from my mistakes. I don't want to do it again with another business partner. Mm-hmm. It's really hard, because development is hard. You have to. It's not for the faint-hearted. You got to be able to not take pay for 2 to 3 years. I'm currently in that year one of no pay, like, but it's just part of the journey, and like that's the thing, is I understand that as well. Yeah. Everyone goes, oh, property developer, millionaire. It's like, no, you got to do like 3 or 4, and then I'll be big time multi-millionaire. So yeah, built that up. So now I have enough equity. I've got few properties under my hand. And now I've actually got resource consent on my latest property that I bought last year next to the university to build 5 units on. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah, so that's the next step.
And I guess at the moment it's almost like you're reaching out almost to yourself. It's like you've kind of taken that mentor almost along the way to where you are now, and this is almost that opportunity to kind of step out for yourself. Yeah. To try this avenue. Yeah. Just doing it how you want to do it. Yeah. With the integrity and that you've built. Yeah,
well, like I'm a strong believer of I want 50% of something, then 100% of nothing. So like, and that's in that aspect of like, if that's your step in the door, and like I talked about earlier, opportunities and stuff like that, take that opportunity. Like everyone goes, oh no, I'll wait till I can do it myself. Don't be stupid, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to talk yourself out of that opportunity for yourself anyway. Whereas if you could do it, it's limiting your exposure.
You put yourself in the position to be able to do it by yourself.
Yeah. You're not going to, and it's also like, you have 50% less of the, like if shit goes wrong, you got 50% less of the damage. Liability. Yeah. It's like, it's spread out. So like, it's sort of a way to learn, and also it's also teaching you how to do business with another person. Like that's another learning experience as well. Yeah. Like, wasn't a bad experience with my own, but it made me realize, like, I wanted to do it by myself because I stuck to what I wanted to achieve. And like my business partner, I don't blame him. Like we did quite well, and he made some good money, and he just decided he wanted to move overseas and retire with his wife, his new wife, and stuff like.
Yeah.
Like it's just that's how it is, and I don't really have any grudge or anything against him. Like if anything, I actually have a lot to owe him because I learned everything because he wanted to go and move overseas. Realistically, it gave me the avenue to learn more and how to do this all by myself because I got left there to do it by myself. Yeah, he was still around and he still came around towards the end, but I had a majority of it sorted. And that's sweet. Like, and now I know I can go through the whole resource consent process myself, ask the engineers the right questions, ask all of these things. I just got it right now, like all my consents and stuff. And like I wouldn't have been able to do that if he was there doing that half of the project that I didn't know about. I only knew that, wouldn't have learned it. Like I would have thought, oh, he's my business. He'll take the next project. He'll do that one there. So you got to look at everything like you got to look for silver linings in every sort of thing. There's no such thing as failure. Like if you accept that failure, like if you keep learning from things, it's not really a failure. Like maybe you can say it's a setback or you've got a little bit of a problem or something like that. But with every problem, like you can resolve it. Like you can, it's just your turn. You got to set up to figure out how do I fix this problem.
What about body? What about body and mind? Like, are you working on anything at the moment with that side of things?
Yep. So I'm on day 30 of my phase 2 of Live Hard. So, I'm what is it? I'm talking the talk and walking the walk. Like, I don't go to. I've learned now that like I don't go to people. You probably have learned. You don't go to people and go, "You should do this. You look like shit." Like you just gotta.
That doesn't work.
Yeah. I wish it did, because I've said it to a lot of people.
Wasted air.
No, like I don't have the best physique in the world. I don't think that and I'm just trying to improve. But I don't know. I've always like looked at others and like I don't know. Maybe it's like you're saying, like dissecting that. I want to be that person that I received like earlier as well. Like I want to reach out to them and say, I think you can be better. And and this is what I said to you about the 75 hard this year. And I was saying to you, like I think you'll really benefit from it. Like and like I just sort of think like you got to sort of put your hand out and say, hey, bro, like I think you can do better. But yeah, so I'm going through that right now. It's been good, really hard. This week has been really hard. Like last week I was just tired because I haven't really, even though I had 30 days in between phase 1 and phase 2, which if you want to learn more about the Live Hard and 75 Hard, we've done a podcast on that, so go and listen to that, guys. I didn't really take much of a rest. I think I had 1 day off the gym. So I'm at about like 70-ish days in a row, maybe with 1 or 2 days off in between. And then I've been cold showering through as well, even though it's not a part of this. I was just being
kept it.
Yeah, like I'm like, I think there's things that I'm picking up as I'm going through this self-improvement journey, and that I want to pass on to you guys. But it's like the momentum and not letting go of that momentum, as you probably, I think you write about it quite a lot in your blogs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not about motivation. It's momentum.
Momentum, yeah, and that's apparent to when I finished my development. I didn't do, by the way, guys, didn't do anything for a year and a half because I thought I was the shit and I made money. I have a few properties and I was 25 at the time.
You lose momentum.
Yeah, and I lost all that momentum, and I'm blessed to be able to pick up a little bit, but it still took 2 years, and I went back to work to go and work a normal job and buy my third property to be able to be back into this position again. So now I've clicked on that moment. I need to make sure that I don't lose this momentum, and that's why probably a lot of people go like, why are you doing so much? But like, it's, in my opinion, like, why aren't we doing
more?
Why aren't we doing more when we're young and we've got the capacity to do it? Some of us have kids and stuff like that. and they think that's an excuse. I think that's even more of a reason to do more and be everything you can for your little one. Like, like that's another sort of thing. But yeah.
And that was the body. Is there
Yeah.
anything like either
For the mind?
mind, mentally, philosophically that you're kind of working on at the moment?
Yep. So we've dabbled in about it, the stoicism and stuff like that. I haven't gone too much on it right now. Like, there's also something that you got to have. You've got so much capacity. Like, I'm trying to form new habits at the moment. Like, I can't squeeze everything into one.
That's probably one of them as well. Like, just in terms of building habits, like habit building itself is something crucial for the mind. So
after today, it's so like the thing is, I'm not doing it. It's just I've penciled it for when I'm able to. I'm not taking my foot off the pedal, but when I'm I'm going to pivot a little bit here and do a bit more work on my mental side and control of my emotions. But I am actively reading every day and like books about just how to win people,
friends, and influence people.
Influence people. Yeah. So I honestly think I'll be reading that at least another 5 more times. It is that good. It is for me because the way that I look at the world is from a salesman perspective, is like you are selling yourself at all times, whether you like it or not. Just like that's sort of how I say, like, my integrity and like how I care about my word. Like, that's how it is. And you got to learn how to influence people and make friends, like, and we're in the service industry, like everyone is. Well, we were just in this, like I've talked to Judith the other day, and I was just like, we're in the service industry, hospitality for us, but even building houses, it's a service industry. Yeah, it's a niche, and like, but I'm providing you a house, and then you're not going to buy a house from me if I don't provide you a good service, give you the right amount of beds, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, you can almost break it down to anything. Nutrition, it's a service. You're servicing them in their health. Like, you give me anything, I'll be able to relate it back to the service industry. You need to sell yourself at all times. Like, and that's not saying you're a commodity or anything like that, or you're an item. It's more like you're trying to display the best product, which is yourself, to others, and you want to influence them into ways of your thinking, maybe, or if you've got a product to sell to them, you got to make sure that you've got a decent product. And like, that's sort of my aspect on that. For the integrity side and the mind, I think I'm gonna be getting back into the stoicism sort of side of things, but I do a lot of visualizing. So we'll be implementing that, and that's a part of the last 30 days in phase 3. Yeah, right. So I'm going to be ramping that back up after this. Yeah. What does it typically look like? For me, I haven't done much visualizing myself. Oh yeah, okay. So it's hard. It's weird. You can find yourself like, I've got a brain that can like race off into 20 different directions, but what I ended up, because it was a part of the first 30 days in phase 1, what I ended up getting to was like 10 key things. There can be what is important to you. So like, I've had things like I'm visualizing and like thinking of my mansion sitting on top of a hilltop with my infinity pool, and then driving up the side of the hill into my dungeon garage, like a 5-car garage, something like that. Like, it's sort of like thinking of like tiny details of certain goals that you have for yourself. And the way that I think is, I have no limits to my success. I can become as successful as I want to be. And that's what Andy Frisella actually talks about, and this is from his program. And he was just sort of saying, like, don't discount yourself. Like, what do you truly dream of having? And but then you got to visualize it like you are living that life. So I've had these things come, like the real estate thing. I don't even realize these things until we talk about them. I'm not even kidding. Like, I visualized owning multiple properties, and then I even said I wanted to own my second house before I was 25, and I bought this when I was 24. Like it's fucked. Like
Yeah.
I've been, and that's also a part of having this podcast. I'm saying these things out loud, so because then I can know, and mentally I remember saying that, and then I can go back and go, there it is. Like
It's reinforcing.
yeah. So with the visualizing, I'll have important things. These things are my own. Like I keep them to myself. Like I'm not like I tell our friends and stuff like that of things that I'm in the process of doing, but it's already decided that I'm going to do it. I don't tend to tell people, like we haven't told anyone about this podcast until we're going to release it. Like it's sort of, I've told a couple, but you know, like I've sort of been that aspect is like you sort of sit there and go and get shit done over telling others, because you can talk your way and then you get the gratification from the people before you've even done it. So then sometimes you don't even need to go and do it because they're like, oh, good on you. Like people like I won't name names, but I've got a couple of mates that have been buying houses for the last 10 years.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm buying a house. And then I'd hear them telling people, oh yeah, when I looked at this house, no offers put down, no nothing. I was just like, but anyway, so each to their own.
And I mean, it's with the visualizing, I think it goes beyond just kind of like generally manifesting. You know, a lot of the times you're putting that image in, and you're kind of, like you said, with the opportunity, that's almost your way to look for opportunities.
Yep.
Because they actually start to manifest themselves because you're now thinking about it. It's like if you ever wanted a certain car, and then you go out and all you see is just that car on repeat over and over again. You know, you want a Porsche, and everyone's now got a fucking Porsche.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
No, that's 100% it.
Yeah.
So that's what I do with my visualizing, is I think of those key things, and then I go, right, what are the steps that I have to do? Like, so this is outside of the visualizing. So I visualize that and I repeat those. So I live in those moments. This is 10 years later. I'm up on that hill. Mark my words.
You'll be on a hill in 10 years.
Yeah. By the sounds of it, it's going to be about 6 or 7. You know, because the way I set my goals is I set them where I genuinely think I can get there.
Yeah.
And naturally, I've been smashing them. You know, but that's my minimum. Like I've got to be there. I'm living that life. I see those certain amount of grey hairs at that point. Like this is to the increment details.
Yeah.
Same thing with the car that I want. And I'm sitting in the car. I'm driving it down the road. I'm watching people stare at me in this car driving down the road. Some people might think it's delusional, but like it really works. And like it works if you want it to work as well.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, that's what I say. It's like when I go, all right.
It's not a delusion. Like you're realistic with the goal that you're setting, but it's opening you up to the opportunities that are presenting themselves in the moment that are likely going to be helpful to actually get you towards those goals. I think that's probably a good place for us to stop. But you know, I think a big theme from this podcast in particular has kind of been that reaching out and taking that hand. And so I guess the final question is for anyone actually that's listening that does want to reach out, and like you've used your mentors, that if they want to ask you any questions regarding property or even just what you've been through in terms of your development, what's the best place that people can contact you?
Well, that's why I've been that's why I want to start this podcast, is I'm an open book. You know, for the growth period of this, like reach out to us on the BMI podcast on Instagram. Message me through there, and I think I'm an open book. I really want to help people. Like if they, you know, I'm not going to just go and answer everyone and their stupid questions and stuff like that. But like if I get a feel that, like, you know, you're resonating with the message that we're trying to deliver, and I'll do what I can to help you. You know, like I feel like there's a lot of people steering us in the wrong direction. My advice might not be for you, but hey, I'm happy to give you my 2 cents. You know, so yeah.
Well, I said, and probably, you know, again, your theme that has kind of come through for the most part of this episode anyway is, you know, take that outstretched reach, and it's probably dual, or it'll take effort on both part, and you know, from what you're saying, you'll meet them halfway as long as they're meeting you halfway at
Yeah.
the same time. And it's reaching out or taking, use this as an opportunity or the sign that there's a reach out there. There's a hand out for grab if you want to take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyone who's wanting to take it, grab it.
Yeah.
Grab it, listen to what that information is, and whatever you can take from that, try and action something.
Yeah. Well, like you sort of see, like, I've got a lot of time for you, like for people who I think can benefit from my help, but and I also said to you today as well, I can only do so much as well. Like, I'm not going to waste my time. Like, if my words fall upon deaf ears, like, don't reach out to me. But if you genuinely want to make an improvement in your life and you think and you want to ask a few pointers or some tips and stuff like that, absolutely, please reach out. That's one of my main goals of this, is a little goal that I've set for myself, something I've manifested, is I want to help 10 people, and I want to find 10 like-minded men or women, and make a difference in their life if I can, Yeah.
Be that person that's extending the hand rather than the one taking the hand now.
Yeah.
Passing over the reins.
Oh yeah, no, my hand's still out for others as well. So that's the thing, is what we probably don't understand, is I'm always looking for those opportunities too. So like, hey, maybe you reaching out to me is an opportunity for me. Who knows?
100%.
A good friendship could be. Who knows?
Amen to that.
Sweet, bro.
Thanks for listening.
Cheers. Bye.